Imagine this. You wake up one morning, stretch your arms, and feel the weight of the day pressing down on you before it even begins. You grab your phone, scroll through the news, check your messages, and make your first choice of the day: coffee or tea, shower now or later, check emails or delay them. Every decision feels like yours. Every action seems to arise from the depths of your own will. But then, something strange happens. A neuroscientist interrupts your morning routine, not physically, but with a revelation so disturbing that it shakes the foundations of your identity. He tells you that every choice you just made was already determined, before you were even conscious of it. Your brain decided before you did. Your first reaction: impossible. But he insists. He shows you brain scans, studies, evidence, a tiny fraction of a second before you think you've made a choice. Your neurons have already fired, setting the decision in motion. That moment where you feel like you're choosing, it's just an afterthought, an illusion. Now, the world around you feels different. You glance at the cup in your hand. Did you really choose coffee? Or was it always going to be coffee? Could you have done otherwise? And if not, who or what is truly in control? The great question. We live under the assumption that we are the authors of our own stories, that our decisions are ours alone. Society conditions us to believe in personal responsibility, in the triumph of free will over fate. But what if this belief is nothing more than a comforting lie? Think about the choices you've made in life, the people you've loved, the mistakes you've regretted, the dreams you've chased or abandoned. Were those really choices? Or were they inevitabilities shaped by biology, history, and forces beyond your control? You could argue that free will feels real, that even if your brain moves before your awareness does, you still experience choice. But then consider this. What if a puppet feels like it's moving on its own because it can't see the strings? If free will is an illusion, the implications are terrifying. It means that the criminal who commits a horrific act never chose evil, that the successful entrepreneur never truly chose to hustle, that love, loyalty, betrayal, and redemption, everything we believe makes us human, are mere patterns unfolding, dictated by forces we don't understand. And if that's true, then what are we? Are we just machines of flesh and thought, running programs we didn't write? Or is there something deeper hidden beneath the illusion? This is the question that haunts philosophers, neuroscientists, and psychologists alike. And if you follow it to its darkest depths, you may not like what you find. Because the truth is far stranger than fiction. The idea that free will might be an illusion is unsettling, even terrifying. If our choices are predetermined, if our thoughts, desires, and actions arise from forces outside of our control, then what does that mean for our identity? What does that mean for responsibility, for morality, for meaning itself? And yet, this isn't a new idea. For centuries, some of the greatest minds in history have peered into this abyss, grappling with the uncomfortable reality that human beings may not be the autonomous agents they imagine themselves to be. Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote, "Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." In other words, you may think you are making a decision, but the very desire that leads you to that decision is something you did not choose. Friedrich Nietzsche took it even further, calling free will the foulest of all theological fictions. To him, the idea of self-determined action was nothing more than a tool used by society to impose guilt, reward, and punishment. A construct that allows us to assign blame and credit in a world where, ultimately, everything unfolds as it must. And then there's Jean-Paul Sartre, who, despite being an existentialist champion of freedom, saw the horrifying weight of choice itself, what he called radical freedom. To truly be free would mean existing in a world where no external force, no past experience, no subconscious drive could ever dictate our actions. But that kind of freedom, Sartre argued, is paralyzing. Most people don't want it. Instead, they construct narratives that make them feel like their choices are inevitable, comfortable, predetermined. The illusion of free will is not just a philosophical puzzle, it is a psychological force that shapes the way we experience reality itself. Take the readiness potential, discovered in neuroscience experiments. Scientists have shown that before you are consciously aware of making a decision, your brain has already started the process of carrying it out. A person hooked up to an EEG machine, for example, will show neural activity that predicts their decision a fraction of a second before they feel like they've chosen. In some experiments, brain scans have predicted a person's choice up to 7 seconds before they consciously make it. So who or what is making the decision? Cognitive biases also play a role in this grand illusion. The confabulation effect, for instance, reveals that when people are asked to explain their choices, they often rationalize them after the fact without realizing that they're fabricating a coherent story. The mind doesn't like randomness, so it rewrites history, making it seem as though the choice was intentional all along. And then there's the illusion of introspection. We believe we have access to our thoughts, that we understand why we do what we do. But in reality, much of what happens inside our minds is hidden from us. The subconscious mind makes its decisions in the dark, and the conscious mind simply tells itself a story afterward. It gets even worse when you consider how much of your personality, preferences, and desires were set in motion long before you were aware of them. Did you choose your genetic makeup?